Welcome back. I'm Beau Henderson. You're listening to the Retirement Resource, the one place committed to helping you navigate the often complicated world of retirement planning. And we've been doing this Masterclass series with our good friend Don Graves, 20-year industry expert in reverse mortgages, author of The Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth, which I recommend you go to Amazon right now and pick up. If you've been listening to this point, you know this is good stuff and you need to dig in. But we've had a couple of good conversations, and today we're talking about what we need to know about carrying a mortgage into retirement and how does that play in with reverse mortgages. So Don, welcome back. I'm excited. Let's keep this train rolling.
Well, let's keep the train rolling. Thanks, Beau. And retirement is going to last longer, be more uncertain than ever before. Boomers are going to carry more debt. They haven't saved enough. So every viable strategy that helps them to manage the risks, the uncertainty, the longevity of it, they need to take advantage of it. And because somewhere between 50 to 68% of people coming into retirement are going to have some sort of loan payment on their home, a mortgage, second mortgage, home equity line of credit, home equity loan. The younger you are, the more likely you are to have that in retirement. So what do we do if we've got a retirement that we've not saved enough, we're living longer, uncertainty? How do we deal when we have a mortgage coming into retirement? What's kind of been your experience, Beau?
Well, that's what I was going to see if you had any rules of thumb, because I get that question all the time. Is it a good thing to carry the mortgage into retirement? Is it a bad thing? I heard so-and-so on the radio say at all costs it should be debt-free. I've heard other people say I need the write-offs. So I'm kind of throwing that up, but my experience is kind of like what we've talked about in other scenarios. It completely depends on your exact situation, your cash flow situation, as to what's really going to work there when it comes to the mortgage. Meaning, I don't necessarily want somebody to take $400,000 of their 401k that could create 30 years of income and pay off a mortgage to free up $1,000 a month.
That's right.
That mathematically might not be the best fit. But some people, from a security, emotional perspective, that might feel good to them. So again, how do we do it?
Yeah. So here are kind of two questions that I enjoy asking. If I'm looking, if I'm talking to a client, or if you're listening, you've got a mortgage on your property, home equity loan. Here's my first question. I say, Bob, Sally, let me ask you a question. What would retirement be like if you didn't have to make a monthly loan payment? That's the question.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be deeper. We don't need a calculator for that. We don't need advanced metrics. It's just a question to the heart. What would retirement be like if you didn't have to make a monthly loan payment? Now, most of the time, what I hear is a sound first. It goes like this. And the shoulders drop. And I say, wow, Bob, Sally, what was that sound? And we know the sound of relief because they're paying $2,250 or $850, or one lady's paying $200 a month, but she had a $35,000 home.
Right.
And her income was only $400 a month. You see, another fellow's paying $21,000 a month, principal and interest, and it's the same sound. Sometimes I hear, whew, it would be great. And I ask the question, why would it be great? And you all can answer, you who are watching. If you didn't have to make a monthly mortgage payment, would that make retirement different? Why? What would you do differently? And they'll tell you. And it's as multifaceted as the puzzle you described. I do more for the grandkids. We used to do a cruise every year. Now it's every 3 years. I would do X, Y, and Z. I could do A, B, and C. I could even get some long-term care insurance if I'm medically qualified. There are any number of things. If you didn't have to make a monthly loan payment, how would that be different? They'll tell you. And if I hear that sound, if I hear whew, or it'd be different, then I know, then my follow-up question to the viewers is, okay, I hear that. Well, if there was a way that you could eliminate your monthly mortgage payment so that you could do A, B, C, and D, would you want me to tell you about it? That's it. They'll either say no. Why would they say no? They just told you about the relief they would have. Of course, they're not going to say no. They're going to say yes, because I'm going to help you do A, B, C, and D. And now we talk about equity release strategies. That could be, hey, you've got a mortgage or home equity loan, and you're paying 12% because you got it after bankruptcy. That was the best you could do. You've got a payment of $1,800 a month, but your credit score now is 880. Does it make sense if you can get that from $1,800 a month to $1,800? Is that a good thing? Absolutely.
Right.
Well, let's say, what if we could eliminate that altogether? Yes, I'd like to see how that works. And so that's question number one. And there are a lot of things that happen. And here on page 55 of the book that's on your screen, I tell 8 things. Eliminating a monthly mortgage payment. Your retirement savings can last longer. If you're drawing down an extra $850 a month because you've got a mortgage payment for the next 17 years, simply eliminating that $850 makes your portfolio last another 10 to 14 years on average. So it's a powerful, and you can model that. That's not even rocket science.
Right.
You can have more money each month. You say, my budget's so tight in retirement. So I'm not going to go through all of them. They're here. But the second, Beau, is my favorite question. A person says to me, big cowboy down in Texas asked that question, what would retirement be like for you and your wife if you didn't have to make a monthly payment? He said, "Oh, Donna, it's all right. I don't mind making the payment. We're okay making that payment." I said, "Oh, okay, cowboy. All right, I got J.R. Ewing right here. Here we go." And I said this. I said, since you're already making a payment, you're already making a payment. If you had the option or the choice in retirement, would you rather have that to be mandatory or voluntary? Since you're already making a payment, if you have the choice in retirement, would you rather that be mandatory or voluntary? Well, Don, I'd rather have that be voluntary. Who wouldn't take that? I said, my words exactly. So if you could have that payment in retirement, and we could do something that it became voluntary, but it functioned in the same way. Every time you make a payment, your loan balance went down. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you got it paid off. But every time you made a payment, we took that $1,500, we reduced your loan balance, but we set that $1,500 over here in a special reserve account growing at about 4.5%, that anytime you wanted to access that down the road for whatever reason, you don't even have to ask us. You just go in there and get it.
Right.
Would you like to see what that looked like? And I say, would you like your mortgage payment to be productive or unproductive? And I said, if we can swap it, I can take the same payment from the same account of the same amount, and you're going to keep your payment, but switch your partner. The loan balance is going to go down, but I'm going to create for you a giant reserve that could grow and get up to $1 million. Would you like to see what that looks like? And people's eyes get real big. Yeah, let me show you. Give me 3 minutes, and I do this for advisors. I say, when you're meeting with someone, let me send that to you beforehand. Excuse me, you ask that question, and you can absolutely show them what that looks like. That is my favorite thing to talk about, because it's so stunning to say, I'm making a payment. And I know 50 to 68% of people coming into retirement have a payment. And I can show you how to take a non-productive payment and create retirement strategy without you even having to change your behavior. Would you want to see that? Oh my gosh, Beau, that is so exciting. And so when that begins to happen to your viewers, then all of a sudden a new world opens up. And I had a lady say to me, said, Don, if this is true, I said, it is true.
Right.
They said, why would anybody have a mandatory mortgage payment or loan payment in retirement? You tell me.
Right.
I wouldn't. I would absolutely. If you had the choice. Now, not everybody has a choice. I said I would do it. So that's where I spend so much of my time these days, because Forbes magazine, Dr. Wade Pfau at the American College, article in Forbes magazine last year, it was entitled Strategies for Carrying a Mortgage into Retirement. And it outlined 6 strategies. Now, Forbes is hardly the advocacy magazine for reverse mortgages,
Right.
but it outlined 6 strategies for carrying a mortgage into retirement. And listen, Beau, you know how many of those 6 strategies involved a reverse mortgage?
How many?
6.
All 6? Wow.
All 6
Wow.
involved the reverse mortgage.
Okay.
And so when we have thought leaders and magazines of importance looking at the retirement income crisis, is certainly the uncertainty, and saying, if you've got a mortgage or a loan payment coming into retirement, here's 6 strategies, and all 6 of them involve a reverse mortgage. I think that's worthy of a conversation.
You're right. And it's, again, we go back to tools. It's when a tool is misused in the wrong scenario, in the wrong situation, that's when it can be scary, right? But with information and in the right scenario, it could be the best tool for the job. Any tool good technically. So I love that. We're talking with Don Graves, author of The Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth, Reverse Mortgage Authority, personal mentor to me on this topic, and resource for our friends, listeners, and clients. And we're talking about carrying this mortgage into retirement and some of the power of that. And I love that. We're talking about what you need to know, and this might be a compliance issue, but I'm going to say it. Correct me. But we're talking about what you need to know to actually set up an optional mortgage in retirement. I mean, that mandatory versus optional, that's, I had some heartbreaking scenarios with clients over the years of being house rich and getting too sick to be able to access their equity.
Yeah.
Losing their house. And we're talking about something that could protect against things like
that.
Well,
it's a legacy strategy as well. You have a husband and wife, they're 65, they got a mortgage or home equity loan at 55, and they've got another 18, 20 years on that thing. They're going to be paying until they're 85 years of age. Right. And I said to the husband, do you love your wife? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I said, okay, now when you die, and maybe this loan will be paid off, but maybe it isn't. Maybe, I said, would it make sense to you if we swapped this, just swapped it, for one that had a voluntary payment? Would that take some of the pressure off and give you greater financial flexibility? So I says, now, you love your wife because if something happens to you and you get sick, your wife is not burdened with, oh my gosh, I've got to maintain this $2,100 a month payment. You love your wife because at some point when you die, if it's not paid off, it's voluntary. Your wife can say, I'm done. I don't have the resources to do that, but you've created this $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 line of credit that can be converted to income. So now you've got an income replacement tool, a pension replacement tool. You've got a long-term care strategy. You've got liquidity. You've got tax-free dollars that, I said, you're doing legacy planning is not just for the children and grandchildren.
Correct.
Legacy is for your wife or your spouse to say, let's show them how much we love them by being proactive with this managed mortgage. It's not going to hurt you any to say, let's move it from mandatory to voluntary. Keep paying it. Do it. The benefits are limitless when you do this. And Beau, I don't know anybody. Why wouldn't you give this serious consideration? Why wouldn't this be a conversation that you would have? Why would you have a payment in retirement? Life is too crazy for that. And I heard on television them talking about this virus. Either it's going to end up being the flu or a third of Americans are going to die. And somewhere between there is the truth. And but here's the reality that even right now, supply chains are impacted, and their companies saying, "Hey, if Wuhan doesn't come back, we may have to lay some folk off." Right. There's an economic reality that happens, and you want if you're retiring or retired, you want every resource, every available resource. You want every treatment option to be at your disposal. Absolutely. You don't want the low grade financial vaccine. You want the ones that the senators and Congress people are
That's right.
going to get.
That's
And
right.
so reverse mortgages are a type of financial vaccine to the plague that may come on some folk financially in retirement. And we've got the vaccine for you right here.
We're hitting it. And again, we're covering, here with Don Graves covering understanding the power and the potential of the voluntary retirement mortgage. And Don, I'm wondering, as we're talking through this, I try to think through a client's eyes or a listener's eyes.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, is there a sweet spot for this to be a viable? I mean, where is there? I know you can't tell day to day, but is there kind of a range of, hey, if I'm in this position from an equity perspective, setting this up makes sense or it'll work?
Yeah, I used to say if you have at least 50% equity
Hmm.
in your home, I don't say that anymore with this. And here's why. Someone says, Don, I've got a $400,000 home and I've got a $200,000 mortgage, as an example.
Right.
And the reverse mortgage is making $180,000. Don, I'm $20,000 short. I said, okay. I said, you're making a payment anyway, aren't you? He said, yeah. I said, if you took the 180,000 from the reverse mortgage and you pulled money out of your CD, money market somewhere, you're actually borrowing from yourself. But we get rid of a mandatory monthly payment. I said, since you were already making a payment, just pay yourself back
Right.
over 3 or 4 months. You're already making a payment. Do whatever you need to do to get that thing from being mandatory to voluntary. So in general, I talk to folk to say, do you have at least 50, 60% equity in your home? That's kind of generic.
50 to
So
60.
we'll leave it there, 50, 60%. But I want everyone to take a look at it. I really do. Even if you don't have that, I've got a person now that they're going to bring $40,000 to the table.
Right.
Now, why would someone bring $40,000 and add it to their reverse mortgage? I said, because he and his wife have a particular situation. And remember these words, they're already making a payment. They're already doing it. And so you can either pay the bank, which is non-productive, you don't get it back, or you borrow the shortfall dollars from yourself. And since you were already making payment, you didn't have a choice, just pay yourself back. And do that over a year, 18 months, whatever, but you put yourself in a much different position. Who wants to be beholden to some sort of, the book of life says the borrower is servant to the lender.
Right.
I don't want to put myself in that position where I've got a mandatory payment going out and anything can happen in retirement. Don't you listeners, you saw Betty at church last week, and this week you discover she's got cancer and 3 months to live. How many of us have heard that story? That things happen quickly. And so put yourself in the best position. And I'm not saying the reverse mortgage, Beau, is the right thing to do,
Right.
but it is the right conversation to have.
And I think that's the key. And that's the thing we can drive home with every one of those. It's the right conversation to have. Let's talk. Let's know. We spent this is another bite that people can look for, that understanding this voluntary retirement mortgage and the power, the flexibility, the effect on potential estate planning. Let's look into it. Let's explore it. Let's have that conversation. So I've got enough to chew on. I'm just excited to dig in, talk to some clients about some of these opportunities. Oh man, I just realizing just the vastness of this world of using this tool and this housing wealth strategies. So where in the world do we go next, Don?
Yeah. So next time, a lot of people are living in homes that are no longer suitable for them. The kids aren't coming back. You don't want to do the steps, mow the lawn, rake the leaves, shovel snow, depending on what part of the country you're in. And most folks don't know that they can buy their next home for 50 to 60% down and have no monthly mortgage payment using a reverse mortgage. It was signed into law by Congress in 2009, and most people just have no idea. I can buy my next home using a reverse mortgage. Absolutely. It's an exciting topic to talk about because it's going to put more money. I like to say it like this. If I could increase your cash flow, reduce your expenses, and add more money back into your retirement savings, but it involved you moving to your next, last, and best home, would you want to see how it works? That's what we'll talk about
We
next
could
time.
technically upsize in retirement.
Yeah.
Okay. So have that
Yeah,
good
we could. Yeah, I had a guy move from he sold his home for $400,000. He moved to a $600,000 home and had $113,000 left over and no monthly mortgage payment. Absolutely stunning.
More strategy. I can't wait to dig into that. Next time we'll be with Don Graves, authority on the reverse mortgage, 20-year industry expert, author of the Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth. Everybody pick up a copy. You owe it to yourself. Pick up a copy at Amazon and meet us back here next time when we'll dig into this topic about, hey, how can we maybe move into this next bigger home for the rest of our lives without a payment? Look forward to it. See you next time.
All right. Thanks, Beau.